Hi, and welcome to Nevaeh's Nightmare. And on today's episode, many of us have heard of cases of feral children, and these are often small children that have been orphaned or have gotten lost and ended up being raised by some kind of animal in the forest. After some investigation, these children have been returned to their families or relatives with an explanation of how they ended up in these situations. Sometimes, though, children have appeared out of nowhere with no explanation of who they are or where they came from. In this episode, we will be looking at two of these cases of mysterious children, the Green Children of Woolpit and the strange case of Kaspar Hauser, the boy from nowhere. First case we will look at is the Green Children of Woolpit. This incident dates back to medieval England in either the reign of King Stephen or his successor Henry II in the middle of the 12th century. The story comes down to us in the writings of William of Newburgh. He stated that he had heard the stories from many of the people that lived in the village of Woolpit at the time. The story goes like this. One day the villagers found two children standing by one of the wolf pits that the villagers used to attract wolves to get rid of them, and from which the small village of Woolpit got its name. They were found in a field crying inconsolably. What the villagers noticed right away is that the little boy and girl's skin was green, and that they were clad in garments of strange color and unknown materials. The children did not speak English, and they wouldn't eat any of the food that was offered to them. The children were soon taken to the home of one Sir Richard de Calnay, and the people in the village would come to view the children. While they began to starve and the village people became concerned about them, finally the children brought some beanstalks that they seemed eager to eat. They broke open the stalks instead of the bean pods and cried when they could not find the beans there. Once they were shown that the beans were located in the pods, and according to William, they ate the beans for a long time entirely and would touch no other food. The strange children were brought into the life of the village and were baptized as Christians. The boy got more and more weak and he soon died, but the girl survived and grew to adulthood. She also lost her green skin color and eventually married and had children, and even took employment in the household of a local knight. She was, however, described as rather loose and wanton in her conduct. She was asked by the villagers many times where she had came from. She told them that her land was known as St. Martin's Land, that everyone there was green and there was no sun there. The inhabitants of this strange land lived in a world of perpetual twilight. The villagers also asked her how she and the boy had come to their world. She said that they were tending to their flock when they came to the cavern. They went inside and ended up in our world, and they were blinded by the light of the sun. They laid in the field until they were found by the villagers. The story of the Green Children is indeed a strange one. It is difficult to come to any conclusion as to just who the Green Children were or where they were from. The medieval chroniclers asserted that the story is true, and they got it from the people that were there and encountered the mysterious boy and girl. But the question remains, where did they actually come from? Many ideas have been put forth, including that they were children of the Flemish immigrants and they were persecuted in the reign of King Henry II. The children had gotten lost and separated from their parents and were severely undernourished. This would explain them not being able to speak English and the green skin, which is a condition that can be caused by malnourishment. Others look at the story as being an example of folklore, that the story is literally just a fairy tale. The land that the boy and girl come from is very reminiscent of what is often described as the realm of the Fae in fairy lore. The story is also similar to various Babes in the Woods tales told by the British Isles. These often would have to do with children that were abandoned by evil relatives and saved and nurtured by friendly villagers. Whatever the case may be, something strange happened in the village of Woolpit, but since it was so long ago and not much more has been written about it, it's hard to know the truth. The next case, however, has plenty written about it and is much more well documented, but equally as mysterious. On May 26, in 1828, in the small German town of Nuremberg, a 17-year-old boy turned up in the city square. The boy stumbled through the square and fell into the arms of the local cobbler. The boy held him out a letter that was addressed to a captain of the 4th Squadron of the 6th Cavalry Regiment. The boy was unable to answer anyone's questions as to who he was and where he came from. The captain was located and observed some of the boy's behaviors. He seemed to not be able to understand some basic things. He burned himself on a candle when he put his hand into the flame, and when offered a meal of beer and meat, he looked at it as if he didn't know what to do with it. When he was offered a plate of black bread with water, he ate as if it was his favorite meal. He also seemed to know only one phrase: "I don't know." The boy had some other letters in his possession. There were 2 letters purporting to be from 2 different people, but obviously written by the same hand. The first letter read, "Honored Captain, I send you a lad who wishes to be a king in the army. He was brought to me on October 7th, 1812, but I am a poor laborer with children of my own to rear. His mother asked me to bring up the boy. Since then, I have never let him go outside the house." End quote. The second note purported to be from the boy's mother and read, "This child has been baptized. His name is Kaspar. You must give him a second name yourself. His father was a cavalry soldier. When he is 17, take him to the Nuremberg to the 6th Cavalry Regiment. His father belonged to it. He was born on April 30th, 1812. I am a poor girl and I can't take care of him. His father is dead." End quote. When a paper was offered for the boy to write his name, he wrote Kaspar Hauser, but to any other questions he gave the same answer: "I don't know." Quickly clear to the citizens of Nuremberg that Kaspar must have been an illegitimate child that had been left on the farmer's doorstep and had been locked away for years. Kaspar exhibited strange behavior. He would not sleep on a bed in the jail. He was taken there as the townsfolk didn't know what to do with him. Instead, he was found resting on the bale of straw on the floor. He also seemed to have a very small vocabulary and to be strangely fascinated by horses. It was also said that Kaspar could see in the dark and he was very sensitive to light. He seemed to always be in a daze, and thunderstorms greatly frightened him. Kaspar was at first deemed to be mentally deficient, but this soon changed. As he spent more time with people, his vocabulary began to grow, and he started to communicate with the townspeople and authorities. He was asked where he had been for the last 17 years, and all Kaspar could remember that he lived in a cell all of his life, in a small cell that measured 7 feet by 4 feet wide. All he had to sleep on was a bale of straw, and all he ever had to eat was bread. All he ever had to play with were 3 wooden horses. Kaspar stated that sometimes he would eat the bread and it would make him feel sleepy. He would doze off. When he woke up, his cell would be clean and his straw cleaned out. Right before he was released, Kaspar stated that a man had come into his room and taught him to say different phrases. The man led him outside and into the town square of Nuremberg, where he was found by the cobbler. Kaspar's statements were only deepened the mystery of who he was, where he had been, and who had taken care of him all of these years. The word spread about Kaspar, and the young man soon became an odd celebrity throughout Europe. He was appointed a guardian, and for a good while, Kaspar seemed to flourish and enjoyed his newfound fame. On the evening of October 7th, 1829, something odd happened to Kaspar. He was found laying on the floor in the cellar of his guardian's house, stabbed and bleeding. Kaspar told the police that he had been attacked by a man wearing a silk mask who struck him with a club or a knife. The police made a sweep of Nuremberg and could find no one that fit the description that was given by Kaspar. People in Nuremberg speculated that Kaspar had stabbed himself in an effort to gain attention as his popularity started to fade. The citizens were angry and felt they no longer needed to support Kaspar on their dime. Kaspar's case came to the attention of an English nobleman called Lord Stanhope. Lord Stanhope took the young man off Nuremberg's hands and paraded him through the royal courts of Europe for 2 years. Stanhope was convinced that Kaspar was a lost prince, and he may have something to gain in supporting this young man's cause. Because of all of this attention from royalty, Kaspar started to become vain and hard for Stanhope to deal with. In 1833, he gave up his guardianship and went back to England, but continued to support Kaspar financially. Kaspar was sent to the much smaller town of Ansbach. He hated it there and also hated not being the center of attention. He missed going to parties and being presented to royalty, and he resented having to attend his lessons. On December 4th, 1833, another bizarre incident took place when Kaspar appeared at his guardian's house once more, claiming to have been stabbed by an unknown assailant. Kaspar claimed that he had been walking in the park when a tall man in a black cloak approached and asked him if he was Kaspar Hauser. When he replied that he was, the man handed him a small black purse. When Kaspar reached out to take it, the man stabbed him several times in the side. This time, Kaspar was stabbed in the lung and the liver, and the wound was fatal. On December 17, 1833, Kaspar Hauser died, leaving more questions than answers about his weird short life at the age of 21. Who was Kaspar Hauser? Where did he come from, and who had held this boy captive for 17 years, and why had they? Many people, Lord Stanhope among them, felt that Kaspar must have been a royal heir that had been kept imprisoned by the royal family. It was felt that Kaspar was actually the true heir to the Grand Duchy of Baden. In 1812, the same year that Kaspar was said to be born, a prince of Baden died as a small baby, and many felt that the child had been switched and that Kaspar was him. The Grand Duke of Baden always maintained that the child had died and that Kaspar was not a member of their family. This controversy was finally put to rest in 2002 when DNA was lifted from some of Kaspar's clothing, and it was determined that he was not related to the Grand Duke of Baden. Many experts in the case believe that Kaspar Hauser was the illegitimate son of a rich farmer's daughter and a soldier, and the family had kept him confined out of the sense of embarrassment. When the time came that he reached close enough to adulthood, he was let go and basically dumped on the people of Nuremberg. And for many, this seems like the most likely option, but it's no less strange and mysterious. The other mystery is who killed Kaspar. The general consensus is that he was once again stabbed himself in an effort to gain attention and increase his popularity and mystique. This time, however, he did too good of a job damaging his vital organs that led to his death. The Kaspar Hauser case really gained the attention of Europe, and over the years many poems and books have been written about him. In 1974, a German film about the case was released called The Enigma of Kaspar Hauser. Directed by Werner Herzog, Kaspar Hauser has gone down in history as one of the most mysterious of mysterious children. Sorry if I mispronounce anything. I'm from the South. Can't get mad at me for it. Anyways, thank you for watching Nevaeh's Nightmare. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you know any mysterious children down in the comments.